Vienna, 1865. A man is brought to a quiet building and told he is here to look around. He is a professor of medicine, and he knows a locked ward when he sees one. He turns for the door. Guards take hold of him. He fights, and the skin of his right hand tears open. They put him in a straitjacket in a darkened cell. Nobody washes the wound. 14 days later, he is dead, of blood poisoning, from that hand. His name was Ignaz Semmelweis. For 18 years, he had begged doctors to wash theirs. This is the story of why they would not. To understand, go back 18 years. Vienna, 1846, the largest maternity hospital in the world. Free care for the poor. It has 2 clinics, and which one you enter depends on the day of the week you go into labor. On one day, mothers go to the first clinic, doctors and medical students. On the next, the second, midwives. Same building, same city, same disease. In the doctor's clinic, roughly 1 mother in 9 dies. In the midwives, 1 in 35. Because the women know. They arrive at the gate and beg to be sent to the midwives. Some, learning it is a doctor's day, give birth in the street instead, and come in afterward. Street births survive better. The man who cannot let this go is Ignaz Semmelweis, Hungarian, 28, an assistant in the doctor's clinic. His father sent him to Vienna to study law. He switched to medicine. Now, he counts the dead every morning. The disease is called puerperal fever, from the Latin for childbirth. Europe blames bad air, miasma, a weather of the ward that comes and goes. But air does not stop at a doorway. Here is how a teaching ward works. Each morning, one examination follows another, down the row. The same procedure, the same room, the same hands. Nobody thinks about it because nobody has any reason to. So, Semmelweis eliminates ventilation, crowding, the linen, the season, the position the women deliver in. He tests each one and waits and counts. Nothing moves the number. Then he notices the priest. When a mother is dying, he walks the whole length of the ward, ringing a bell for the last rites. In the midwife's clinic, he goes straight in. Could terror be killing them? So Semmelweis reroutes the priest through a side door and takes away the bell. It is the wrong idea, tested properly, which is still science. The mothers keep dying at exactly the same rate. 2 years pass. By the spring of 1847, he is close to breaking, so he does the only thing left. He leaves. A colleague takes him to Venice to look at art and think about anything else. It works for a fortnight. He comes back to news. Jakob Kolečka, professor of forensic medicine, and his friend, was nicked by a student's scalpel during an autopsy. Within days, he was dead. And Kolečka's own autopsy reads like a dead mother's. Kolečka died because something from a corpse got into his blood through a cut. So did the mothers. And Semmelweis finally sees what the doctors are carrying. They come to the delivery bed straight from the dissecting table, on their hands. The midwives never touch a corpse. That is the entire difference. In mid-May 1847, Semmelweis puts a basin at the clinic door. Nobody examines a mother until they have scrubbed in chlorinated lime. He picks chlorine for a crude reason. It is the only thing that takes the smell of the dead off skin. In April, the clinic lost 18 mothers in every 100. By June, 2. By July, 1. Within a year, there are months when the clinic loses nobody at all. He has taken the deadliest room in Vienna and made it the safest. And the profession does not applaud. Consider what he has actually proved. If washing your hands saves the mother, then not washing them killed her. Semmelweis has not made a discovery. He has made an accusation against every obstetrician in Europe, starting with the man who runs his clinic. Klein blocks him. In March 1849, Semmelweis's post expires and goes to a rival, despite backing from 2 of the most powerful physicians in Vienna. Later, he is permitted to teach obstetrics, on mannequins. He leaves Vienna without saying goodbye to anyone. In Pest, he takes an unpaid post at a small hospital and does it again. 933 births, 8 deaths. Vienna and Prague are still losing 10 in 100. So why does the world not follow? Part of it is him. Semmelweis does not publish, not for 1 year, not for 5, for 14. And he has no theory of germs, nobody does. Pasteur is decades away. All he can offer is a phrase, cadaverous particles, something invisible from the dead. When the book comes, in 1861, Europe shrugs. So he writes open letters calling its great obstetricians murderers. He is right, and he is impossible. Here, the famous version says he stood alone against all of medicine. He did not. 3 of Vienna's most powerful doctors backed him in print, One compared him to the man who beat smallpox. And he was not first. A Boston physician published the same conclusion in 1843. A Scottish doctor in 1795. The failure was never one stubborn establishment. It was 14 years of silence, then 4 years of fury. 1865. Over about 5 weeks, something happens to him that nobody has ever satisfactorily explained. He drinks. He does not sleep. His wife, Maria, 20 years younger, watches her husband stop being her husband. Alzheimer's, some say. Late syphilis. Exhaustion. Nobody knows. On the 30th of July, a colleague offers to take him to Vienna on a pretext. It is Ferdinand von Haberer, the friend who first published the discovery. The guards, the torn right hand, the straitjacket, the dark cell. On the 13th of August, Semmelweis died of an infected wound. 47. The same infection, the same way in. Almost nobody came to the funeral. Among the handful at the grave were 2 of the men who had spent years destroying him. The Hungarian Medical Society met the following week and did not mention that he had died. 20 years later, Louis Pasteur supplies the thing Semmelweis never had, a reason. Joseph Lister builds surgery around it and is knighted for it. The idea wins. The man who paid for it was already in the ground. Hand hygiene is still the most effective infection control we have, and 7 in every 100 hospital patients catch an infection in hospital anyway. He was not destroyed for being wrong, but for being early and unbearable. Would you have washed your hands? Next time, the doctor who invented the stethoscope because he was too embarrassed to touch a woman's chest and died of the disease he built it to hear.